Well, the present perfect is one of 12 tenses in English. So just like we have the past simple tense, the future continuous, the past perfect, all of these are examples of the 12 tenses that we have in English. And in today's lesson, we will be discussing one of these 12 tenses, and that's the present perfect tense. So the first question that might pop up in mind is, how do we make the present perfect? In other words, if I have a sentence, and this sentence of course contains a verb, how can I conjugate that verb? How can I put it into the present perfect tense? Well, in order to do that, you need to ask yourself two questions. The first one is, who is the subject in the sentence? The subject is the person or the thing performing the verb. You can have the subject as a pronoun like I, they, she, you, and so on. Or you may have the subject as a noun or a noun phrase, which means a noun that's represented by one of these pronouns. So the first question that you need to ask yourself is, who is the subject? If your subject is he or she or it or any noun that's represented by these pronouns, you need to use the word has. But if your subject is I, we, you, or they, or any other noun represented by these pronouns, then you will use the word have. So the first part of the tense, which is the auxiliary verb or the helping verb, is either has or have according to the subject in the sentence. The second part is the main verb, which is the verb in the sentence, like work, stay, eat, swim, whatever the verb is. So you need to use the past participle of that verb. When we talk about the past participle, we need to mention that any verb in English has three basic forms. The first form is the infinitive, which is also called the base form, and that's quite simply the verb without adding anything to it. When you say take, that's an infinitive. Make, go, come, all of these are infinitives. That's form number one. Form number two is the past simple tense of the verb, like worked, like enjoyed, like bought, like did. All of these are the past simple tenses or the past simple forms or forms number two of these verbs. Then comes form number three, which is the past participle. The past participle is the third form of the verb, like eaten. That's the past participle of eat. Like begun. That's the past participle of begin. Like opened. That's the past participle of open, and so forth. Right, so you make the present perfect by using the word has or the word have, and you follow them with form number three from the verb, which is the past participle of the verb. In English, we have two types of verbs, either regular or irregular. Well, the difference lies in the forms of the verbs. For example, if your verb ends in ed in the past simple and the past participle, then it's regular. Like worked, like stayed, like walked, like talked. All of these are regular verbs because they end in ed in form number two, which is the past simple or the past tense, and in form number three, which is the past participle. Irregular verbs, on the other hand, do not end in ed. whether in the past simple or in the past participle. So we have to study them by rote. We have to study them by heart. We have to memorize them. For example, a verb like beat. That's infinitive beat, past simple beat, past participle beaten. Another verb like come. That's come in the infinitive, came in the past simple, and come in the past participle. A third verb like set, S-E-T, set. This remains the same in the three forms, set, set, set. Right, so as you could see, in these verbs, beat, come, and set, neither the past simple nor the past participle ends in ed. So we consider these verbs irregular. Okay, so the main point we have made so far is that in order to put the verb or to make the verb in the present perfect tense, what you need to do is to use has if the subject is he or she or it, or have if the subject is I, we, you, or they, and then you follow both of them with the past participle of the verb. Excellent. The next question is, when do we use the present perfect? When do we use it? What are the usages or the uses of the present perfect tense? Well, it has a few uses. We use the present perfect for things that have happened recently. So we're talking here about an action that happened in the past, finished in the past, but it's not in the distant past. It's not in the old past. It's something new, something that has happened recently. For example, we say, Tom is looking for his keys. Tom is looking for his keys. He has lost his keys. So, Tom has lost his keys. This is present perfect. Tom, that's he, has, because the subject is Tom, lost. That's the past participle of lose. Why are we using the present perfect here? Because Tom is looking for the keys, which means that he has lost them recently. It's something that has just happened recently. Excuse me. So the first usage of the present perfect is to talk about an action that happened and finished recently. The second usage is when you are mentioning something as new information. So when you say that something has happened, which is the present perfect, you mean that the action is new information for the reader or for the listener. So if I'm saying something to somebody, or if I'm writing something to somebody, and this is new information for those people, they haven't heard it before, they haven't read it before, so I use the present perfect in this case. For example, oh, I've cut my finger. Oh, I have cut my finger. Apparently, because of the interjection, oh, it seems that the person whose finger has been cut hasn't noticed that already. He has just noticed that, and that's why he's mentioning or she's mentioning the action or the fact that their finger has been cut right now for the first time. So you say, oh, I have cut my finger. So this is an action which is mentioned for the first time, which necessitates using the present perfect. And also, this is something that has happened recently, just now. What is the proof? The proof is the interjection oh, which exhibits or displays the surprise that the speaker feels. Another example. The road is closed. There has been an accident. The road is closed. This is the observation that I'm making. Then I am mentioning a piece of information for the first time. I'm saying there has been an accident. That's the present perfect, has, plus the past participle, been. So the second usage of the present perfect tense is to introduce new information or to mention information that hasn't been mentioned before. The third usage of the present perfect tense is to talk about an action that is connected to the present, that is connected to now. What do I mean by that? I mean that the action is finished. The action itself is finished. It doesn't continue until now, but it has a result, and this result exists until now. This result is true until now. For example, when you say, "Where is your key?" you say, "I have lost it." Where is your key? That's speaker 1 asking speaker 2. Where is your key? I have lost it. That's present perfect. I have lost. Have plus past participle. Using the present perfect means that this person has already lost the keys. He's not still losing. The action of losing is finished. He has already lost the keys. But there is a result from that action, which is that the keys are still lost. He hasn't found them yet. So saying, "I have lost my keys," means that the action of losing itself is finished. It's from the past. It's a thing of the past. But the result of that is that the keys are still lost and that I haven't found them yet. Another example. He told me his name, but I have forgotten it. He told me his name, but I have forgotten it. That's present perfect. I have forgotten. Using the present perfect here means that the action of forgetting still has a result until now, which is the fact that I still can't remember the name of that person. So to wrap up the 3 usages of the present perfect, we use the present perfect for an action that has happened recently. It's something that didn't happen a long time ago. It has happened recently, just a short time ago. We use the present perfect when we are introducing new information that hasn't been mentioned before. And we use the present perfect to talk about an action that's finished. So the action itself happened in the past and finished in the past, but it still has a connection with the present, which is a result. So the result of the action still exists until now. Let's talk about some of the key words which are used with the present perfect. Well, the most famous 3 keywords are just, already, and yet. Just means a short time ago. You say, for example, "I have just had lunch." I have just had lunch. That's present perfect. I have had, which is have plus the past participle, had. So when we have just in the sentence, we normally use the present perfect, especially if we are talking about an action that has happened just now or a very short time ago. The second keyword is already. When something has already happened, this means that this thing happened sooner than expected. It was expected for this thing not to happen yet, but it has already happened, which means that it happened sooner than expected. For example, we have 2 speakers here. Speaker 1 says, "Don't forget to send the email." Don't forget to send the email. Speaker 2 said, "I have already sent it." I have already sent it. As you can see, this is another example of the present perfect. I have sent. Have plus the past participle, sent. And already is used, so we need to use the present perfect. That's why we're saying I have already sent it. Speaker 1 doesn't expect that speaker 2 has sent the email yet. But the fact of the matter is that against or contrary to or unlike speaker 1's expectations, speaker 2 has already sent the email. The third keyword is yet. Yet means until now. So this is the meaning of the word yet. And yet is used in negative sentences and in questions. We also use yet with the present perfect tense. So an example of yet in a question is, has it stopped raining yet? Has it stopped raining yet? That's an example of the present perfect. Has it stopped? Has plus the past participle. Has it stopped raining yet? Another example of yet in a negative sentence. I have written the letter, but I haven't sent it yet. I have written the letter, but I haven't sent it yet. That's an example of a negative sentence using yet. I haven't sent it yet. As you could see in the two examples, yet is almost always placed at the end of the sentence. Just like the word ago with the past simple tense. We use the word ago with the past simple tense, whereas we use the word yet with the present perfect tense. And both of them are placed at the end of the sentence. Another important note to make when we are explaining the present perfect is the verb go. Well, in order to make your verb in the present perfect, you have to use the past participle of the verb, the past participle of the main verb. The verb go has two past participles. The first one is gone and the second one is been. So the infinitive of the verb go is go. Form number 2, which is the past simple tense, is went. Form number 1 is go. Form number 2 is went. In case of the past participle of the verb go, which is form number 3, it has two forms. Gone, G-O-N-E, and been, which is also the past participle of be, but that's another story. So the question is, if I have the verb go in the sentence and I want to conjugate it or I want to make it in the present perfect, which past participle should I use? Gone or been? That's the question. Well, it depends on the meaning of the sentence. If you are talking about a person who has gone to a certain place and hasn't returned yet, use gone. But if the person you're talking about, if the person you're referring to has been to a certain place and come back from it, use been. Let's have an example. Jim is on holiday. He has gone to Italy. He has gone to Italy. The past participle used here is gone, which means that Jim hasn't returned yet. He hasn't come back yet. He's still in Italy. But the other example says, Jane is back home now. Jane is back home now. She has been to Italy. Here we are using the second form of the past participle, which is been. So Jane has been to Italy means that Jane has gone to Italy and has also come back from Italy and that she's here now. Right. Another important point that needs to be highlighted when we are talking about the present perfect is the fact that the present perfect is used to refer to a period of time that began or started in the past and continues until now. So, if the meaning of the sentence dictates that we are talking about a period of time that started in the past and extends or continues until now, we need to use the present perfect tense. A very famous example of this is a person's life. For example, Dave, that's a man, says, I have been to China twice. I have been to China twice. Dave here is talking about his whole life. His life which began when he was born, which started with his birth, and which continues until now. So, throughout his life, or over the course of his life, he has been to China twice. Another example, Steve has traveled to lots of places. Steve has traveled to lots of places. We are talking here about Steve's whole life or Steve's full life. So we say that Steve has been to lots of places over the course of his life, which is a period of time that began or that commenced by the birth of Steve and continues until now. Right. What other keywords are used with the present perfect tense? We have a word like recently. You say, for example, I have met Brian a few times recently. I have met, present perfect as you can see, I have met Brian a few times recently. Another example is with the word today. For example, you say, I have drunk 4 cups of coffee today. Actually, we can use the present perfect with the following expressions. Today, this evening, this week, this month, and this year. Again, we use the present perfect with the following time expressions. Today, tonight, this evening, this week, this month, this year. So we use the present perfect with all these time expressions, provided that this period of time are not finished at the time of speaking. For example, in the example I have just mentioned a few seconds ago, when I said, I have drunk 4 cups of coffee today. So using today means that we are still today. That's why we are using the present perfect. I said I have drunk, not the past simple, not I drank. If it's yesterday, which means that the day is finished, it doesn't extend until now, it's yesterday, we use the past simple. We say I drank 4 cups of coffee yesterday. But if I'm talking about today, which is a day that extends until the time of speaking, it hasn't finished yet, it continues until now, we use the present perfect. So we say, I have drunk 4 cups of coffee. Another example to demonstrate this point. Look at these 2 sentences. I have shaved this morning versus I shaved this morning. The first one uses the present perfect, I have shaved. But the second one utilizes the past simple, I shaved. What's the difference? In the first example, because we are using the present perfect tense, it means that this morning hasn't finished yet. We are still in the morning, and that's why we say, I have shaved this morning. But when I say I shaved this morning, we are using the past simple tense, which means that this morning is finished. Maybe now we are in the afternoon, in the evening, so the morning is finished, and that period of time, the morning, doesn't extend until now, so we use the past simple because of that. Lastly, we also use the present perfect tense when we are talking with the time expression it's the first time. So if I say that something is happening for the first time, for the second time, for the third time, or whatever the order of the time is, we use the present perfect with that expression. For example, we say, it's the first time Dave has driven a car. It's the first time, as you can see, this is the time expression we're referring to. It's the first time Dave has driven, present perfect, has driven a car. Another example. That's the third time Bill has phoned this evening. Again, that's the third time. It doesn't have to be first. It can be second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever. So that's the third time Bill has phoned. We are using the present perfect. Has phoned this evening. Sarah has lost her passport. This is the second time she has lost it. Sarah has lost her passport. This is the second time, this is the time expression we're talking about, this is the second time she has lost it. So we are using the present perfect, she has lost, because we have the time expression, this is the second time it has happened. And here we come to the end of today's lesson about the present perfect. In our upcoming video, we will be continuing some more points with the present perfect tense, and then in the video or the lesson that follows the next one, we will be explaining the present perfect progressive or the present perfect continuous, which is another tense of the 12 tenses in English, and we shall be conducting or holding a comparison between the present perfect simple, which we will have been discussed for 2 sessions by then. We will be comparing it with the present perfect continuous or the present perfect progressive. So stay tuned for our upcoming videos. And as always, it's a pleasure to meet you, and I look forward to seeing you in our next class. Enjoy the rest of your day.